What if the shadows you trusted weren't really yours? Four friends had planned the trip for weeks. Daniel was the one who loved adventure, always dragging the others into new places. Sarah, his girlfriend, was careful, logical, but she came because she didn't want to miss out. Liam was the joker, carrying snacks and a speaker, while Emma, the quiet one, always had a sketchbook ready to capture whatever strange thing caught her eye. They hiked into the forest on a warm Friday evening, the air filled with the hum of insects and the smell of pine. Daniel had found an old cabin online. "It's abandoned but solid," he said with a grin. "Perfect place to crash for a night." The cabin was small and creaky, its windows dusty, its wooden porch sagging under their weight. Inside, it smelled of mildew, but it was dry and safe. They dropped their bags, lit lanterns, and decided to make a fire outside before nightfall. The clearing was beautiful, the sunset painting the sky orange. Everything felt normal. For now, they built the fire, roasted hot dogs, and told silly stories. Liam played music low on his speaker, while Emma sat sketching the firelight on the trees. Then Sarah noticed something odd. "Hey," she said, pointing. "Look at our shadows." The fire cast long shapes behind them, flickering on the grass, but something about them was wrong. Daniel's shadow was too tall, its head brushing the branches, even though Daniel sat hunched on the log. Liam's shadow didn't move when he waved. It just stood there, still as a statue. And Emma's shadow. Emma's was facing the wrong way. While she leaned toward the fire, her shadow leaned back away. Emma froze, her pencil hovering over her paper. "That's not possible." Liam tried to laugh. "Maybe the fire's weird." But his voice cracked. Daniel kicked dirt at the fire, making the flames sputter. For a moment, the shadows blurred, then snapped back. Wrong again. And this time, Sarah swore she saw Emma's shadow smile. They put the fire out and rushed inside, slamming the door. Sarah's heart pounded. "It's a trick of the light," she muttered. "That's all." But when Daniel lit the lantern, the shadow stretched across the cabin walls, and they were still wrong. Daniel's shadow towered over the others, its arms too long, fingers crooked like claws. Liam's didn't move when he paced. Emma's kept turning its head when she wasn't. And Sarah's shadow, it lagged behind her, like it had to catch up. Emma dropped her sketchbook. "They're not ours." The lantern flickered. The shadows seemed to grow darker, bolder, as though feeding on the weak light. Liam grabbed the speaker, desperate for normalcy, and cranked up the music. But the shadows swayed, not to the beat, but in some slow, unnatural rhythm. "Turn it off," Sarah hissed. The music cut, and the silence that followed was worse. They tried to sleep. Daniel took the floor, Liam and Sarah the couch, Emma in the corner with her blanket, but no one slept. Every time Sarah closed her eyes, she felt a shadow tugging at her, pulling her down. Liam muttered in his sleep until suddenly, his eyes snapped open, wide with terror. "Something's wrong," he whispered. They looked. Liam's shadow was no longer on the wall. It stood on the floor beside him, upright, separate. "Run!" Emma screamed. The shadow lunged, pinning Liam to the couch. He thrashed, gasping, as though something was squeezing the breath from his lungs. His real body struggled, but his shadow's face smiled. Daniel grabbed the lantern and hurled it. Flames scattered, shadows splintered, and Liam was freed. He coughed, trembling, eyes wild. But the shadows hadn't fled. they'd only gotten stronger. The fire from the broken lantern spread, crawling up the old cabin wall. Smoke filled the air. They stumbled outside, gasping, the night swallowing them. The moon was high, silver and gold. Their shadows stretched across the clearing, longer, darker than they should be. And then the shadows began moving on their own. Sarah screamed as hers stepped away from her, tilting its head curiously before darting toward the trees. Daniel's shadow loomed behind him, arms reaching. Emma's shadow pointed into the woods, beckoning. Liam's shadow simply waited, still as death. "Don't move," Daniel whispered. "Don't give them." The shadows charged. They bolted into the forest, branches whipping their faces, feet pounding the earth. But no matter how fast they ran, their shadows slid alongside them, gliding like ink across the ground. And then the forest path split. Sarah tripped, tumbling left. Emma chased after her. Daniel and Liam stumbled right. The group was divided. Sarah and Emma pressed against a tree, gasping for air. The forest was silent, except for their own breaths. Then Sarah noticed it. Emma's shadow stood behind her, but it wasn't moving with her. It raised its hands slowly, curling its fingers into a claw. "Emma," Sarah whispered, "don't move." Emma froze, eyes wide. The shadow lunged. Sarah shoved Emma aside. The shadow hit her instead. Pain ripped through her chest like fire. She screamed, collapsing to her knees. Her shadow bent over her, whispering something she couldn't hear. Emma yanked Sarah up, dragging her deeper into the woods. But Sarah's body felt heavier, slower. Her shadow followed behind, not attached anymore, but walking freely, smiling. Daniel and Liam stumbled through the trees until they reached another clearing. The moonlight spilled silver across the ground. Their shadows stretched before them, too long, too sharp. Liam clutched Daniel's arm. "We can't outrun them," Daniel swallowed hard. "Then we fight." He grabbed a broken branch, swinging wildly at the ground. The shadows flinched, rippling like liquid. But then Liam gasped. His shadow stepped behind Daniel. Before Daniel could turn, the shadow wrapped around him, sinking into his body. Daniel screamed, collapsing, his eyes going black. When he stood again, his smile wasn't his own. Liam backed away. "Dan?" But the thing that looked like Daniel stepped closer, shadow stretching wide like wings. Sarah and Emma stumbled into the same clearing, meeting Liam. They froze when they saw Daniel, or what was left of him. His shadow moved with him now, perfectly, but its smile lingered, even when his face didn't. His voice was hollow. "It's easier if you don't fight." Liam shook his head, tears streaming. That's not him anymore. The shadow surged, wrapping around them, pulling at their feet. Emma screamed as her own shadow clawed at her skin, ripping free. Sarah, bleeding and exhausted, lit the last match from her pocket. The tiny flame flared orange in the dark. For a second the shadows recoiled. Then the match burned out, and the clearing went black. Days later, hikers found the cabin burned to the ground. Inside the clearing, 3 sets of belongings were scattered. Backpacks, shoes, Emma's sketchbook. The last page showed 4 figures around a fire. Their faces were blank. Their shadows stretched across the page, smiling. The end.